Om Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Ajnanatimirandasya Jnananjanashalakaya Chakshurunmilitam Ena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namaha. Shri Chaitanya Manobishtam Sthapitam Ena Bhutale Swayam Rupa Kada Mahyam Dadati Swapadantikam Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yuttapadakamalam Shri Gurun Vaishnavamscha Shri Rupam Sagrajatam Sahagana Raghunatanvitam Tam Sajivam Sadvaitam Savadutam Parijana Sahitam Krishna Chaitanya Devam Shri Radha Krishna Padan Sahagana Lalita Shri Vishakhanvitamscha He Krishna Karuna Sindhu Deenabandhu Jagatpate Gopesha Gopika Kanta Radha Kanta Namostute Tapta Kanchana Gaurangi Radhe Vrindavaneshwari Vrishabhanu Sute Devi Pranamami Hari Priye Vancha Kalpatarubhyascha Kripa Sindhubhya Eva Cha Patitanam Pavanebhyo Vaishnavebhyo Namo Namaha Namam Vishnupadaya Krishna Preshtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swaminiti Namine Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirvisesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine Jai Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advaita Gadadara Shri Vasadi Gaura Bhaktaranda Hare Krishna 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 Hare 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 Rama 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 Hare Hare.
So, give me a minute. So you have any questions for tonight's program? Anyone has a question? No. Hello.
Ranjit Shivaram Prabhu, do you have any questions? Ranjit Prabhu.
No, Hare Krishna Prabhu. No questions, Prabhu.
No questions, huh? Okay, we will go and do the. Did we do Nectar of Instruction? We finished mantra
4, I
3.
think.
You finished 4?
4, Prabhu.
Oh, you finished 4, huh? Okay, we'll do mantra 5 then, huh? Krishneti yasya giritam manasya indriyata ikshasti chet pranati bischa bhajantam isham Shrushriya bhajanam vijnanam ananyam manye nindati sunya hridam pishitta shangalabhya. Anyone wants to read, so please?
One should One should mentally honor the devotee who chants the holy name of Lord Krishna. One should offer humble obeisances to the devotees who has undergone spiritual initiation, Diksha, and is engaged in worshipping the deity. And one should associate with and faithfully serve that pure devotee who is advanced in undeviated devotional service and whose heart is completely devoid of the propensity to criticize others.
Purport.
In order to intelligently apply the sixfold loving reciprocations mentioned in the previous verse, one must select proper persons with careful discrimination. Srila Rupa Goswami therefore advises that we should meet with the Vaishnavas in an appropriate way according to their particular status. In this verse, he tells us how to deal with three types of devotees: the kaniṣṭha-adhikārī, madhyama-adhikārī, and uttama-adhikārī. The kaniṣṭha-adhikārī is a neophyte who has received the Harinama initiation from the spiritual master and is trying to chant the holy name of Krishna. One should respect such a person within his mind as a Kaniṣṭha Vaishnava. A madhyama-adhikārī has received spiritual initiation from the spiritual master and has been fully engaged by him in the transcendental loving service of the Lord. The madhyama-adhikārī should be considered to be situated midway in devotional service. The uttama-adhikārī or highest devotee is one who is very advanced in devotional service. An uttama-adhikārī is not interested in blaspheming others. His heart is completely clean and he has attained the realized state of unalloyed Krishna consciousness. According to Srila Rupa Goswami, the association and service of such a Mahabhagavata or perfect Vaishnava are most desirable. One should not remain a kaniṣṭha-adhikārī, one who is situated on the lowest platform of devotional service and is interested only in worshipping the deity in the temple. Such a devotee is described in the 11th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam 11.2.47. Archayamiva haraye pujam yah shraddhaye hate nathad bhakteshu chanyeshu sabhaktah prakrita-smritah. A person who is very faithfully engaged in the worship of the deity in the temple, but who does not know how to behave toward devotees or people in general, is called a prakrita bhakta or kaniṣṭha-adhikārī. One therefore has to rise himself from the position of kaniṣṭha-adhikārī to the platform of madhyama-adhikārī. The madhyama-adhikārī is described in Srimad Bhagavatam 11.2.46 in this way: Ishvare tad adineshu balisheshu dvishatsu cha prema maitri krupopekshya yah karoti samadhyama. The madhyama-adhikārī is a devotee who worships the Supreme Personality of Godhead as the highest object of love, makes friends with the Lord's devotee, is merciful to the ignorant, and avoids those who are envious by nature. This is the way to cultivate devotional service properly. Therefore, in this verse, Srila Rupa Goswami has advised us how to treat various devotees. We can see from practical experience that there are different types of Vaishnavas. The Prakrita Sahajiyas generally chant the Hare Krishna Maha Mantra, yet they are attached to women, money, and intoxication. Although such persons may chant the holy name of the Lord, they are not yet properly purified. Such people should be respected within one's mind, but their association should be avoided. Those who are innocent but simply carried away by bad association should be shown favor if they are eager to receive proper instructions from pure devotees. But those neophyte devotees who are actually initiated by the bona fide spiritual master and are seriously engaged in carrying out the orders of the spiritual master should be offered respectful obeisances. In this Krishna consciousness movement, a chance is given to everyone without discrimination of caste, creed, or color. Everyone is invited to join this movement, sit with us, take prasad, and hear about Krishna. When we see that someone is actually interested in Krishna consciousness and wants to be initiated, we accept him as a disciple. We accept him as a disciple for the chanting of the holy name of the Lord. When a neophyte devotee is actually initiated and engaged in devotional service by the orders of the spiritual master, he should be accepted immediately as a bona fide Vaishnava, and obeisances should be offered unto him. Out of many such Vaishnavas, one may be found to be very seriously engaged in the service of the Lord and strictly following all the regulative principles, chanting the prescribed number of rounds on japa beads, and always thinking of how to expand the Krishna consciousness movement. Such a Vaishnava should be accepted as an uttama-adhikārī, a highly advanced devotee, and his association should always be sought. The process by which a devotee becomes attached to Krishna is described in Chaitanya Charitamrita Antyalila 4.192. Diksha kale bhakta kare atma samarpana, se kale Krishna tare kare atma sama. At the time of initiation, when a devotee fully surrenders to the service of the Lord, Krishna accepts him to be as good as he himself. Diksha or spiritual initiation is explained in the Bhakti Sandarbha by Srila Jiva Goswami. दिव्यं ज्ञानं यतो दद्यात् कुर्यात् पापस्य संक्षयं तस्मात् दीक्षेति सा प्रोक्ता देशिकैस्तत्त्वकोविदै. By Diksha, one gradually becomes disinterested in material enjoyment and gradually becomes interested in spiritual life. We have seen many practical examples of this, especially in Europe and America. Many students who come to us from rich and respectable families quickly lose all interest in material enjoyment and become very eager to enter into spiritual life. Although they come from very wealthy families, many of them accept living conditions that are not very comfortable. Indeed, for Krishna's sake, they are prepared to accept any living condition as long as they can live in the temple and associate with the Vaishnavas. When one becomes so disinterested in material enjoyment, he becomes fit for initiation by the spiritual master. For the advancement of spiritual life, Srimad Bhagavatam 6.1.13 prescribes tapasa brahmacharyena shamena cha damena cha. When a person is serious about accepting Diksha, he must be prepared to practice austerity, celibacy, and control of the mind and body. If one is so prepared and desirous of receiving spiritual enlightenment, Divyam Jnanam, he is fit for being initiated. Divyam Jnanam is technically called Tad Vijnana, or knowledge about the Supreme. Tad Vijnanartham Sagurum Eva Abhigachet. Mundaka Upanishad 1.2.12. When one is interested in the transcendental subject matter of the absolute truth, he should be initiated. Such a person should approach a spiritual master in order to take Diksha. Srimad Bhagavatam 11.3.21 also prescribes Tasmad Gurum Prapadyeta Jignasu Shreya Uttamam. When one is actually interested in the transcendental science of the absolute truth, he should approach a spiritual master. One should not accept a spiritual master without following his instructions, nor should one accept a spiritual master just to make a fashionable show of spiritual life. One must be jignasu, very much inquisitive to learn from the bona fide spiritual master. The inquiries one makes should strictly pertain to transcendental science. Jignasu Shreya Uttamam. The word Uttamam refers to that which is above material knowledge. Tama means the darkness of this material world, and Ut means transcendental. Generally, people are very interested in inquiring about mundane subject matters, but when one has lost such interest and is simply interested in transcendental subject matters, he is quite fit for being initiated. When one is actually initiated by the bona fide spiritual master, and when he seriously engages in the service of the Lord, he should be accepted as a madhyama-adhikārī. The chanting of the holy names of Krishna is so sublime that if one chants the Hare Krishna Mahamantra offenselessly, carefully avoiding the 10 offenses, he can certainly be gradually gradually elevated to the point of understanding that there is no difference between the holy name of the Lord and the Lord Himself. One who has reached such an understanding should be very much respected by neophyte devotees. One should know for certain that without chanting the holy name of the Lord offenselessly, one cannot be a proper candidate for advancement in Krishna consciousness. In Sri Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 22.69, it is said, Yahara komala shraddha se kanishta jana krame krame tenho bhaktaha ibe uttama. One whose faith is soft and pliable is called a neophyte, but by gradually following the process, he will rise to the platform of a first class devotee. Everyone begins his devotional life from the neophyte stage, but if one properly finishes chanting the prescribed number of rounds of Harinama, he is elevated step by step to the highest platform, uttama-adhikārī. The Krishna consciousness movement prescribes 16 rounds daily because people in the Western countries cannot concentrate for long periods while chanting on beats. Therefore, the minimum number of rounds is prescribed. However, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura used to say that unless one chants at least 64 rounds of japa, 100,000 names, he is considered fallen, patita. According to his calculation, practically every one of us is fallen, but because we are trying to serve the Supreme Lord with all seriousness and without duplicity, we can expect the mercy of Lord Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, who is famous as Patita Pavana, the deliverer of the fallen. When Srila Satyaraj Khan, a great devotee of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu, asked the Lord how a Vaishnava could be recognized, the Lord replied, Prabhu kahe, Yandramuke shuni ekabara, Krishna nama se puja shreshta sabakara. If one hears a person say even once the word Krishna, that person should be accepted as the best man out of the common group. Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela 15.106. Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu continued, Ateva Yandra Mukhe Eka Krishna Nama Seta Vaishnava Karihatanhara Sammana. One who is interested in chanting the holy name of Krishna or who by practice likes to chant Krishna's names should be accepted as a Vaishnava and offered respects as such, at least within one's mind. One of our friends, a famous English musician, has become attracted to chanting the holy names of Krishna, and even in his records he has several times mentioned the holy name of Krishna. At his home he offers respect to pictures of Krishna and also to the preachers of Krishna consciousness. In all regards he has a very high estimation for Krishna's name and Krishna's activities. Therefore we offer respects to him without reservation, for we are actually seeing that this gentleman is advancing gradually in Krishna consciousness. Such a person should always be shown respect. The conclusion is that anyone who is trying to advance in Krishna consciousness by regularly chanting the holy name should always be respected by Vaishnavas. On the other hand, we have witnessed that some of our contemporaries who are supposed to be great preachers have gradually fallen into the material conception of life because they have failed to chant the holy name of the Lord. While giving instructions to Sanatana Goswami, Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu divided devotional service into three categories. Shastra Yukti Nahi Jane Drida Shraddhavan, Madhyama-adhikārī se Mahabhagyavan. A person whose conclusive knowledge of the Shastras is not very strong, but who has developed firm faith in chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra and who is also undeterred in the execution of his prescribed devotional service should be considered a madhyama-adhikārī. Such a person is very fortunate. A madhyama-adhikārī is a Shraddhavan, a staunchly faithful person, and he is actually a candidate for further advancement in devotional service. Therefore, in the Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, it is said, Shraddhavan jana hai bhakti adhikari, uttama, madhyama, kaniṣṭha, shraddha-adhikārī. One becomes qualified as a devotee on the elementary platform, the intermediate platform, and the highest platform of devotional service according to the development of his shraddha, faith. Again in Chaitanya Charitamrita Madhya Leela, it is said, Shraddha Shabde Vishwase Kahe Sudruda Nishchaya Krishna Bhakti Kaile Sarva Karma Krita Haya. By rendering transcendental service to Krishna, one automatically performs all subsidiary activities. This confident, firm faith favorable to the discharge of devotional service is called Shraddha. Shraddha, faith in Krishna, is the beginning of Krishna consciousness. Faith means strong faith. The words of Bhagavad Gita are authoritative instructions for faithful men, and whatever Krishna says in Bhagavad Gita is to be accepted as it is without interpretation. This was the way Arjuna accepted Bhagavad Gita. After hearing Bhagavad Gita, Arjuna told Krishna, Sarvameta dhritam manye yenmam vadasi Keshava. O Krishna, I totally accept as truth all that you have told me. Bhagavad Gita 10.14. This is the correct way of understanding Bhagavad Gita, and this is called Shraddha. It is not that one accepts a portion of Bhagavad Gita according to his own whimsical interpretations and then rejects another portion. This is not Shraddha. Shraddha means accepting the instructions of Bhagavad Gita in their totality, especially the last instruction, Sarvadharman Parityajya Mamekam Sharanam Raja. Abandon all varieties of religion and just surrender unto me. Bhagavad Gita 18.66. When one becomes completely faithful in regard to this instruction, one's strong faith becomes the basis for advancing in spiritual life.
Madhu
When
Prabhu, can you read?
When one fully engages in chanting the Hare Krishna Mahamantra, he gradually realizes his own spiritual identity. Unless one faithfully chants the Hare Krishna mantra, Krishna does not reveal himself. Sevan mukhehi jihvad swayam eva urayi adha. We cannot realize the Supreme Personality of Godhead by any artificial means. We must engage faithfully in the service of the Lord. Such service begins with the tongue, which means that we should always chant the holy names of the Lord and accept Krishna Prasada. We should not chant or accept anything else. When this process is faithfully followed, the Supreme Lord reveals himself to the devotees. When a person realizes himself to be an eternal servitor of Krishna, he loses interest in everything but Krishna's service, always thinking of Krishna, devising means by which to spread the holy name of Krishna. He understands that his
Prabhu,
only...
your voice is fading away a lot.
Let me increase my volume. How about now, Prabhu?
A little better.
Little better. Let me know if it fades away. When a person realizes himself to be an eternal servitor of Krishna, he loses interest in everything but Krishna's service, always thinking of Krishna, devising means by which to spread the holy name of Krishna. He understands that his only business is in spreading the Krishna consciousness movement all over the world. Such a person is to be recognized as an uttama-adhikārī, and his association should be immediately accepted according to the 6 processes. Indeed, the advanced uttama-adhikārī Vaishnava devotee should be accepted as a spiritual master. Everything one possesses should be offered to him, for it is enjoined that one should deliver whatever he has to the spiritual master. The brahmachari in particular is supposed to beg alms from others and offer them to the spiritual master. However, one should not imitate the behavior of an advanced devotee or Mahabhagavata without being self-realized, for by such imitation one will eventually become degraded. In this verse, Srila Rupa Goswami advises the devotee to be intelligent enough to distinguish between the kaniṣṭha-adhikārī, madhyama-adhikārī, and uttama-adhikārī. The devotee should also know his own position and should not try to imitate a devotee situated on a higher platform. Srila Bhakti Vinoda Thakura has given some practical hints to the effect that an uttama-adhikārī Vaishnava can be recognized by his ability to convert many fallen souls to Vaishnavism. One should not become a spiritual master unless he has attained the platform of uttama-adhikārī. A neophyte Vaishnava or a Vaishnava situated on the intermediate platform can also accept disciples, but such disciples must be on the same platform, and it should be understood that they cannot advance very well toward the ultimate goal of life under his insufficient guidance. Therefore, a disciple should be careful to accept an uttama-adhikārī as a spiritual master.
So this is a very important verse in the Nectar of Instruction, covering three aspects of devotees. You have the neophyte kaniṣṭha-adhikārī, then you have the madhyama-adhikārī, and finally you have the pure devotees, uttama-adhikārī. So these three orders, how to deal with them is also described, but who are they been thoroughly explained. It's also further explained here in these verses.
Sometimes a neophyte devotee offers all the paraphernalia for worshipping the Lord, and he factually worships the Lord as the deity. But because he is envious of the authorized devotees of Lord Vishnu, the Lord is never satisfied with his devotional service.
So this is the class of third class devotee. He is worshipping the deity, but he is envious of the preachers, Can you read on?
Yes, deity worship is especially meant for purifying the neophyte devotees. Actually, however, preaching is more important. In Bhagavad Gita 1869, it is said, if one wants to be recognized by the Supreme Personality of Godhead, he must preach the glories of the Lord. One who worships the deity must therefore be extremely respectful to preachers. Otherwise, simply worshipping the deity will keep one in the lower stage of devotion.
So you see, this is the class of a third class devotee, A third class devotee is not interested in preaching. He can't preach anyway because he's materialistically inclined. It's further explained in this purport of this verse quoted. In this verse, we just read the verse. You want to read on?
A devotee who faithfully engages in the worship of the deity in the temple but does not behave properly toward other devotees or people in general is called a prakrita bhakta, a materialistic devotee, and is considered to be in the lowest position. Purport. Srila Madhvacharya comments that one in the lowest stage of devotional service faithfully worships the deity in the temple but is not aware that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is actually all pervading. This same mentality can be seen in the Western countries where people commit all types of sinful activities in their homes and in the street, but then piously go to a church and pray to God for mercy. Actually, God is in our home, God is in the street, God is in our office, God is in the forest, God is everywhere, and therefore God should be worshipped everywhere by the process of devotional service at his lotus feet, as stated in verse 41 of this chapter.
You are fading away again. Why you are going away from the mic or something?
Something wrong with my computer, Prabhu. Devotee, someone else, please continue.
Kirtida Mataji, can you read?
Yes, a devotee should not see anything as being a separation from the Supreme Personality of a Godhead Krishna. Ether, fire, air, water, earth, the sun, the other luminaries, all living beings, the directions, trees, and other plants, the rivers, and the oceans. Whatever a devotee experience, he should consider to be an expansion of Krishna. Thus, seeing everything that exists within creation as the body of the Supreme Lord Hari, the devotee should offer his sincere respects to the entire expansion of the Lord's body. This is the vision of the Mahabhagavata devotee of the Lord. Srila Madhvacharya states that the madhyama-adhikārī, a devotee in the intermediate state, sees the Supreme Personality of a Godhead as the causes of all causes and therefore offer his love to the Lord. Such a devotee is a sincere friend of the other devotees, is merciful to the ignorant, and avoids the atheists. Nonetheless, tad vatsvam na janati sarvasya jagatopitu. His realization of the all-pervading feature of the Supreme Lord is imperfect. Although he does have the general senses that everyone is ultimately meant to be a devotee of the Supreme Lord, and he tried to use everything in the service of a Krishna. Aware that everything belongs to the Lord, he may be bewildered by association with the atheistic man. Srila Madhvacharya states, Archayam eva samstitam Vishnur ज्ञात्वा tad अन्यरा नैव जानाति यः पुमान्. A kaniṣṭha-adhikārī has no idea that the Supreme Lord has the power to exit outside the church or the temple. Furthermore, being puffed up by his own ceremonial worship, Atmano Bhakti Darpataha. A kaniṣṭha-adhikārī cannot imagine that anyone is more pious or religious than he, and he is not even aware that the other devotees are more advanced. Thus, he cannot understand the madhyama or uttama standard of the devotional service. And sometimes, because of his false pride, he criticizes the more advanced devotee of the Lord, neglect them, or simply has no understanding of their exalted position as a preacher or completely self-realized soul. Another symptoms of the kaniṣṭha-adhikārī is that he is infatuated by the material qualification of so-called great materialistic persons. Having a bodily concept of life himself, he is attracted by material opulences and thus minimize the position of the Supreme Lord Vishnu. Such a kaniṣṭha-adhikārī therefore is disturbed if a second-class devotee criticizes the non-devotee of the Lord in the name of the compassion or the kindness. A kaniṣṭha-adhikārī approve of the non-devotional activity of a such materialistic man because the kaniṣṭha-adhikārī is ignorant of the higher aims of devotional devotional service and the unlimited transcendental bliss of the Krishna consciousness. He sees devotional service merely as the religious aspect of a life, but thinks that life has a many enjoyable and worthwhile non-devotional aspects. Therefore, he became angry when second-class devotee who was experiencing the Krishna is everything criticized the non-devotees. Madhvacharya says that such a person, because of his rudimentary faith in Krishna, is considered a devotee, but he is a bhakta dhama, a devotee on the lowest standard. If such materialistic devotee follow the rules and regulation of the deity worship, they will gradually be elevated to the higher standard and eventually become a pure devotee of the Lord, unless they commit the offenses against other devotees, in which case their advancement will be checked. Srila Madhvacharya stated, Tad bhaktanam upakshya upakshakta Puruyur Vishnav api devesham. Those who neglect or show indifference to the devotee of the Lord are to be considered offenders at the lotus feet of Vishnu. Similarly, those who disrespect the demigods will become bereft of the devotional service and be forced to rotate again and again within samsara, the cycle of birth and death. Pujya Pujya Devas Tata Sada. The demigods are always to be offered respect, since they are the devotee of the Supreme Personality of a Godhead. If someone is envious of the demigods, he is to be considered envious of the Supreme Personality of a Godhead. Similarly, one who offers sincere respect to the demigods is considered to be a respecting the will of the Supreme Lord. A Vaishnava does not foolishly think that there are many gods. He knows that there is a one supreme personality of a Godhead. But as stated many times in a Srimad Bhagavatam, the Lord has a mission within this material world, which is to be reformed the conditioned living entities through the cruel law of nature. In the laws in the Lord's mission within this world, the demigods are to be considered limbs of the Lord's body. It's stated in a Bhagavad Gita 7.20. Kamaistai tair rata jnana prapadyante nay anya devata tam niyamam as astaya prakritya niyata svaya. Those whose mind are deteriorated by material desire surrender unto demigods and follow the particular rules and regulation of the worship according to their own nature. But there are many examples of the devotee who worship the demigod to get benediction for serving Lord Krishna. The gopis worship the demigod to achieve Krishna, and similarly Rukmani Devi on the day of her marriage engage in a such demigod worship, her only goal being Krishna. Even today, the preacher of the Krishna consciousness diplomacy, so that such wealthy or consciousness movement cultivate the important people with all kindness and diplomacy, so that such wealthy or influential people will engage their resources in the devotional service of a Krishna to glorify Krishna all over the world. Similarly, offering all respect to the demigod so that they will give a facility for the devotional service of a Krishna is not against the bhakti marga. Although nowadays such a demigod worship has also deteriorated. Therefore, Chaitanya Mahaprabhu has recommended Harinam Sankirtana, chanting the holy name of Krishna, as the only realistic process for this age. Nonetheless, a devotee of the Lord should not misinterpret Bhagavad Gita's injunction against demigod worship as a license to offer the demigods who are bona fide Vaishnavas.
Shivaram
Srimad
Prabhu, can you read?
Yes, Prabhu. The Madhvacharya notes all the demigods are extremely inimical to one who does not respect Lord Vishnu. Such a person is pushed into a darkest regions by the Lord, as well as by the demigods. From the statement by Srila Madhvacharya, the devotional sentiments of the demigods can be understood. It is stated that in the supreme liberation achieved by any uttama-adhikārī, the most exalted devotee of the Lord, the devotee enjoys the transcendental bliss in the direct association of the Supreme Lord and the demigods. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, since a kaniṣṭha-adhikārī who cannot properly respect other devotees will certainly fail to offer respects to ordinary living entities who are not even devotees. A kaniṣṭha-adhikārī is useless for practical preaching work unless he comes to higher platform of understanding. Srila Jiva Goswami says, Yam cha sraddha na sastradha va dharana jata. Because the kaniṣṭha-adhikārī faith is not actually based on the statements of Vedic literature. He cannot understand the exalted position of the Supreme Personality of Godhead within everyone's heart. Therefore, he cannot actually manifest love of Godhead, nor can be understand the exalted position of the devotees of the Lord Krishna. Is so glorious that Krishna's intimate associates must be glorious. But this is a unknown to kaniṣṭha-adhikārī. Similarly, the essential qualification of a Vaishnava, which is to offer all respects to others, amanina manadena kirtaniya sadahari, Chaitanya Charitamrita Adilila 17.31, is also conspicuous by its absence in kaniṣṭha-adhikārī. If such a person, however, has faith in the Vedic literatures and tries to understand the statements of Bhagavad Gita and Srimad Bhagavatam, he will gradually be elevated to the second and first stages of devotional service. According to Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakura, a kaniṣṭha-adhikārī should very seriously engage in regulated worship of the deity. The deity is a particular incarnation of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Lord Krishna can present himself before the worshipper in 5 different manifestations, namely his original form as Krishna, Para, his quadruple expansion, Vyuha, his past-time incarnations, Vaibhava, the super soul, Antaryami, and the devotee, Archa, and the deity, Archa. Within the deity form, Archa is super soul, who in turn is included within the Lord's pastime form, Vaibhav. The Supreme Lord Vaibhav Prakasha is an emanation from the Chaturvyuha. This quadruple expansion of the Lord is situated within the Supreme Truth, Vasudeva, who himself is situated within the Swayam Prakasha Tattva. This Swayam Prakasha consists of expansion of the ultimate Swayam Rupa Tattva, the original form of Krishna within the Goloka Vrindavan in the spiritual sky. This hierarchy of the expansion of Supreme Lord in the spiritual world is realized even within the material world in terms of one's eagerness to render service to the Lord. A beginner in the lowest stage of devotion service should try to dedicate all his activities to the satisfaction of the Lord and cultivate the worship of Krishna in the temple. According to Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakura, all the plenary expansions of the Supreme Lord mentioned above descend into this world and enter within the deity, who exhibits the function of the super soul by accompanying the daily life of the Vaishnava. Although the Vaibhava or the pastimes expansion of the Lord incarnate at specific times, Ramadi Murtesh Kala Niyamena Tishtan, the super soul and the deity forms are constantly available for the spiritual advancement of the devotees in this world. As one comes to the madhyama-adhikārī platform, one is able to understand the expansions of the Supreme Lord, whereas the kaniṣṭha-adhikārī entire knowledge of the Lord is limited to the deity. Nonetheless, Krishna is so kind that to encourage even the lowest class of Vaishnava, he condenses all of his various forms into the deity, so that by worshipping the deity, the kaniṣṭha-adhikārī devotee is worshipping all the forms of the Lord. As the devotee makes advancement, he can understand these forms as they appear in their own way, both within this world and in the spiritual sky. As long as one remains on the third class platform, one has no transcendental appreciation of the blissful reality of the Supreme Lord's paraphernalia and encourage. Sri Chaitanya
Entourage.
Mahaprabhu was
Entourage.
entourage. Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was very pleased with King Prataparudra when the king, upon receiving an outer cloth from the Lord, immediately installed it as a deity and began to worship it as being as good as the Lord himself. Lord Shiva himself has stated, Tasmat Parataram Devi Tadiyanam Samachanam. Worship of the paraphernalia, entourage, or devotee of the Lord is even better than worship of the Lord, because the Lord is more pleased by worship of his devotees and entourage than by worship of himself personally. According to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura, the inability of the kaniṣṭha-adhikārī to appreciate the Lord's devotees, entourage, and paraphernalia indicates that such a materialistic Vaishnava is still affected by the speculative understanding of the karma-vadis and maya-vadis. Those who are dedicated to sense gratification and impersonal speculation about the absolute, Srila Prabhupada often said that only the impersonalist desires to see Krishna alone. We desire to see Krishna with his cows, his friends, his parents, his gopis, his flute, jewelry, forest, scenery, and so on. Krishna is so gorgeous in the setting of Vrindavana. It is in the land surrounded by so many associates is exalted in indescribable beauty. Similarly, the unity of the Supreme Personality of Godhead exhibited in the activities of his pure devotees who are selflessly travel around the universe distributing the dust particles from Krishna's lotus feet on the heads of the conditioned souls. One who is uninterested in the Lord's paraphernalia, entourage, and devotee has a stunted conception of Supreme Personality of Godhead. This must be due to contamination from the impersonal and sensuous understanding of life.
Ranjit Prabhu, can you continue?
Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura states that after hundreds of lifetimes of faithfully worshipping the deity of Lord Vasudeva with external paraphernalia, one realizes the true nature of his transcendental name and mantras, and the bondage of one's materialistic mentality slackens. In this way, as a kaniṣṭha-adhikārī gradually comes to perceive the mental activities of a devotee and tries seriously to advance to a higher stage, his materialistic conceptions will go away of their own accord. He then exhibits loving service to the Supreme Personality of Godhead and makes friendship with the devotees who are the dearmost sons of the Lord. And by appreciating the universal quality of devotional service to Krishna, he becomes very much eager to engage other innocent people in the service of the Lord. Further, as he begins to make significant advancement, he becomes inimical to anything or anyone that hinders the progress of his devotional life, and thus he avoids atheistic people who cannot benefit by good instruction. The International Society for Krishna Consciousness, founded by His Divine Grace Om Vishnupada Paramhamsa, Parivajakacharya Ashtotra Sadashri Srimad Bhaktivedanta Swami Prabhupada, is so nice that anyone who helps this society immediately engages in preaching work for the Lord. Thus, there is great facility for the members of this society to come quickly to the second class stage of devotional service. If, in the name of Krishna consciousness, one gives up preaching and instead becomes interested simply in collecting funds for maintenance, he is showing a type of envy of other living entities. This is a symptom of the third class platform. According to Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura, verses 45 through 47 constitute the answer to King Nimi's two questions. What is the nature of devotion service to the Lord, and what are the specific duties of the Vaishnavas?
So here you can see how the qualities of a third class devotee has been clearly described by all our great acharyas. So a neophyte devotee is materialistically inclined. He doesn't understand the principles of devotional service very much. As a result, he is also very critical, of the second or third class or first class devotee. Can you read on?
A Prakrita Bhakta or materialistic devotee does not purposefully study the Shastra and try to understand the actual stand of pure devotional service. Consequently, he does not show proper respect to advanced devotees. He may, however, follow the regulative principles learned from his spiritual master or from his family who worships the deity. He is to be considered on the material platform, although he is trying to advance in devotional service. Such a person is a Bhakta Praya, neophyte devotee, or Bhakta Bhasha, for he is a little enlightened by Vaishnava philosophy. But this verse is also from Srimad Bhagavatam 11 to 47. Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur says that one who has full love for the Supreme Personality of Godhead and who maintains a good friendship with the Lord's devotees is always callous to those who envy Krishna and Krishna's devotees. Such a person is to be considered an intermediate devotee. He becomes a first class devotee when, in the course of advancing in devotional service, he feels an intimate relationship with all living entities, seeing them as part and parcel of the Supreme Person.
You can see here, these are the position of a neophyte devotee. A neophyte devotee, he is more interested in worshiping the deity, but he is not, his behavior is not so, what we say, proper against the other devotees. Because he always thinks that he is the best, he knows everything. He knows better than everybody else. Because of his mentality like this, he's always creating offenses to the others. And also he's always, fighting with other devotees. It's the position of a neophyte devotee. So the neophyte devotee is also explained in the Bhagavad Gita. The one is a neophyte devotee. These are also all these neophyte devotees in this category. Chatur vida bhajante mam janaha sukirtino arjuna arto jikya surartha arthi jnani cha bharata shubha. So these are the four kinds of pious men begin to render devotional service unto me. The distress, the first, the desire of wealth, inquisitive, and who is searching for absolute knowledge. So these are also the categories of neophyte devotees, going to God for asking material favors, They want something, a distress, or they desire some wealth, or they are inquisitive, and who is also searching for knowledge of the absolute. So these are all neophyte devotees. Of this, the one who is searching for knowledge is much better. Of this, the one who is in full knowledge and is always engaged in pure devotional service is the best. For I'm very dear to him and is very dear to me. So the one who is actually gets knowledge is making more advancement, because just to maintain a kind of a relationship with the Lord for asking only material benefit constitutes a person's third class platform, because he's interested only he's in his material position. Prakrita Bhakta. That's why the Lord says, all those devotees are undoubtedly magnanimous souls. Even if a third class is also magnanimous, but one who is situated in knowledge of me, I consider to be just like my own self. When engaged in my transcendental loving service is sure to attain me the highest and most perfect goal. So knowledge, clearly draws the line to make more advancement spiritually. That's why Krishna says that to come to that platform, it's a very exalted thing. After many birth and death, he who is actually in knowledge surrenders me, knowing me to be the cause of all causes and all that is such a great soul is very rare. So here it refers to actually a pure devotee of the Lord, A pure devotee has got all knowledge, who is actually in knowledge, That's why we have to go and surrender to such a first class devotee. They never say we should surrender to third class devotees. So here also this is the position of the first class devotees, Quote this verse many times. Just try to learn the truth by approaching a spiritual master. Right? So that self-realized from him submissively and render service unto him. The self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. So this is the position of the pure devotee. First class devotee is understood by having knowledge. So the self-realized soul can impart knowledge unto you because he has seen the truth. So this is clearly the difference between the neophyte devotee and a pure devotee. A neophyte devotee is materialistically inclined, is just interested in getting some favors from the Lord. Whereas the person who is realized soul, he is on a different category. So of course we will just now go to the second class platform, come back again to this first class platform. So this is the position of the second class platform, Iswaretad adineshu baliseshu dveshitsu cha prema maitriye kripo pekchaha yaha karoti samadhyamaha. So this is the second class person. You want to read, please?
An intermediate or second class devotee called madhyama-adhikārī offers his love to the Supreme Personality of Godhead, is a sincere friend to all the devotees of the Lord, shows mercy to ignorant people who are innocent, and disregards those who are envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
So the Madhyama has got four symptoms. One is he's in love with Krishna, offers his love. He's sincere friend to all devotees of the Lord, shows mercy to the innocent, and he disregard those who are envious of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. So a second class platform, the person makes this has this four classification. You want to read the purport, please?
According to Bhagavad Gita, every living entity within the material world is eternally a minute fragmental portion of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Mamayvamsho Jivaloke Jivabhuta Sanatana. Bhagavad Gita 15:7. But because of the influence of Maya, the puffed up conditioned souls become inimical to the service of the Lord and the Lord's devotees, choose leaders among the materialistic sense gratifiers, and thus engage busily in a useless society of the cheaters and the cheated, a society of the blind leading the blind into a ditch. Although the community of Vaishnavas is sincerely eager to serve the conditioned souls by bringing them back to their constitutional position, by Maya's influence, the materialistic living entity becomes hard-hearted and rejects the mercy of the Lord's devotees. According to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura, although a second-class devotee is eager to preach to the innocent conditioned souls, he should avoid the atheistic class of men so that he will not become disturbed or polluted by their association. Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura has confirmed that a Vaishnava should be indifferent to those who are envious of the Supreme Lord. It is practically seen that when such persons are informed of the glories of the Supreme Personality of Godhead, they attempt to ridicule the Supreme Lord, thus further deteriorating their polluted existence. In this connection, Srila Vishwanath Chakravarti Thakura has quoted from the 10th canto of Srimad Bhagavatam 10:20-36. Sometimes in autumn, the water falls down from the tops of the hills to supply clean water, and sometimes the water stops. Similarly, sometimes great saintly persons distribute their clear knowledge, and sometimes they are silent. In this regard, Srila Jiva Goswami has mentioned that although the first class devotee of the Lord may at times exhibit apparent hatred towards the demons because of entering the mood of the Lord's pastimes, the intermediate devotees should avoid such feelings. Furthermore, the intermediate devotees should not in any way associate with the powerful atheistic class of men because there is danger that his mind will become bewildered by such association. According to Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura, if a Vaishnava preacher encounters one who is envious of him, the preacher should remain far away from such an envious person. But the Vaishnava preacher may meditate upon ways to save the envious class of men. Such meditation is called sadachara or saintly behavior. Srila Jiva Goswami has mentioned Prahlad Maharaj as an example of a saintly person. In Srimad Bhagavatam 7:9-43, there is the following statement by Prahlada: O best of the great personalities, I am not at all afraid of material existence, for wherever I stay, I am fully absorbed in thought of your glories and activities. My concern is only for the fools and rascals who are making elaborate plans for material happiness and maintaining their families, societies, and countries. I am simply concerned with love for them. Although a Vaishnava preacher constantly meditates on the welfare of all living entities, he will not associate with those who are unreceptive to the message of the Supreme Lord Krishna. In this regard, Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura states that even Bharat Maharaj, Vyasadev, and Sukhdev Goswami do not exhibit their mercy indiscriminately. Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura has given an elaborate explanation to prove that the discrimination employed by a madhyama-adhikārī preacher does not at all show a lack of mercy. He states that upeksha or neglect, as mentioned in this verse, is a proper medicine for those who are inimical to the Supreme Lord and his devotees. Indifference from the preacher checks feelings of hostility on both sides. Although there is a Vedic injunction that one should cut out the tongue of a person who offends the Supreme Lord and his devotees, in this age it is best simply to avoid potential offenders and thus prevent them from committing further sinful activities against the Vaishnavas. It is a duty of a Vaishnava preacher to point out the futility of any process besides surrendering to the Supreme Lord. An envious person, however, will resent such strong preaching by a Vaishnava and disrespect him, considering the devotee to be unnecessarily criticizing others. Such a person who cannot appreciate the mercy of Vaishnavas should be neglected. Otherwise, according to Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura, his cheating mentality will increase day by day. Those who are not attracted to the Sankirtan movement of Sri Chaitanya Mahaprabhu and who disrespect the faithful servants of Lord Chaitanya, considering their strong statements about the Sankirtan movement to be obstacles to their own worship of the Lord, will, will never be able to fix their minds on Krishna, but will gradually fall down from the path of devotion by confusing the external activities of the material world with the actual worship of the Supreme Personality of Godhead Krishna. Such bewilderment has been expressed by the words Bhayam Dvitiyabhinniveshataha Syat.
Nikhilesh Prabhu, can you continue?
Sure, Prabhu. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta Saraswati Thakura has strongly rejected those foolish persons who, under a plea of mercy and equal vision, perceive that a faithful person is also a devotee of the Supreme Lord and who thus try to thrust the Harinama or holy name of God upon such offensive people. Srila Bhakti Siddhanta has stated, when childish people think themselves Mahabhagavatas and act in defiance of the Vaishnava spiritual master, such behavior simply holds them back from receiving the mercy of the Vaishnava Guru. Bewildered by
from here, you can see how ISKCON has
Deviated.
really doing on this point here. They have nominated childish people into the platform of Mahabhagavata and act in defiance of the Vaishnava spiritual master. Prabhupada never authorized it. Yes?
Yes, Prabhu.
And such behavior simply hold them back from receiving the mercy of the Vaishnava Guru.
Mm-hmm.
You see how the statement is so relevant?
Yes,
Yes?
Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
It is stated by Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur. They say we are bogus. Can you see here the statement? Yes?
Yes, Prabhu.
Carry on.
Bewildered by false ego, these self-proclaimed devotees gradually become fit to be ignored by pure devotees on the intermediate platforms and are cheated of the mercy that comes from the devotee's satisfaction. Thus, they become asadhu by constantly committing offenses against the devotees who preach the holy name of Krishna. Pure devotees, therefore, in all circumstances displayed indifference to those who falsely imagine themselves to be uh, Vishuddha Bhaktas or pure devotees of the Lord. This indifference is an excellent manifestation of their mercy. In other words, those who criticize the Vaishnava preachers on the second-class platform for discriminating between those who are fit to receive the Lord's mercy and those who are simply envious are misunderstanding the mission of the Lord Krishna himself. Of the Lord. Krishna himself states in Bhagavad Gita, 4th chapter, 8th canto, to deliver the pious and to annihilate the miscreants as well as to re-establish the principles of religion, I advent myself millennium after millennium. Even such a great Vaishnava as Shukadeva Goswami, one of the 12 Mahajanas in this universe, expressed his contempt for the evil Kamsa. Srila Jiva Goswami has pointed out that even though the Mahabhagavata devotee may act on the second class platform for preaching, his rejection of the envious living entities does not obstruct his vision of the Lord as all pervading. Rather, when a first class devotee or even a second class devotee rejects the atheistic class of men, he is expressing the mission of Supreme Personality of Godhead. A first class or second class Vaishnava never actually becomes envious of another living entity, but out of intense love for the Supreme Lord, he becomes angry when the Lord is offended. Also, understanding the Lord's mission, he discriminates according to the position of a particular living entity. To consider such a Vaishnava preacher an ordinary envious person, or to consider him sectarian because of his proclamation of pure devotional service as the most exalted of all methods of spiritual advancements, reflect a materialistic vision called Vaishnave Jati Buddhi or Gurushu Naramati. Such an offensive drags the offender down to hellish condition of life by the laws of nature. According to Srila Jiva Goswami, although a Mahabhagavata sees every living entity as a pure spirit soul, such as Mahabhagavata still experiences special ecstasies and other symptoms upon meeting another Vaishnava. This is not contradictory to his vision as a topmost devotee. Rather, it is a symptom of his love for Krishna. A pure devotee sees every living entity as part and parcel of Krishna and therefore expresses his love for Krishna through love for all the expansions and creations of Krishna. Still, such a Mahabhagavata feels special ecstasy love upon seeing another living entity directly pleasing the senses of Supreme Lord. Such feelings are manifest in the statement of Lord Shiva to the Prachetas. If one by chance associates with a devotee, even for a fraction of a moment, he no longer is subject to attraction by the results of karma or jnana. What interest then can he have in the benedictions of the demigods who are subject to the laws of birth and death? Similarly, Lord Shiva also stated, "You are all devotees of the Lord, and as such, I appreciate that you are as respectable as a supreme personality of Godhead Himself. I know that in this way, the devotees also respect me, and that I am dear to them. Thus, no one can be as dear to the devotees as I am." Similarly, in the first canto of Srimad Bhagavatam, Srila Sukadeva Goswami is mentioned as Nityam Vishnu Janapriyaha, especially dear to the supreme, to the pure devotees of the Lord. Anyone else wants to continue, Prabhu?
Baldev Prabhu, can you read? Okay. The wonderful loving dealings between Vaishnavas on the topmost platform are demonstrated in the pastimes of Chaitanya Charitamrita. In other words, although Vaishnava sees every living entity as part and parcel of Krishna, he must discriminate in his external behavior so as not to interfere with the original purpose of the Lord's creation, which is to reform the living entities so that they can gradually come back home, back to Godhead. A pure devotee does not foolishly pretend equal vision and approach envious persons. Rather, he respects the mission of the Lord as stated in Bhagavad Gita, the Bhagavad Gita-mi Aham. On the other hand, if it is the Lord's desire, a pure devotee can offer his respects to all living beings. For example, Srila Jiva Goswami mentions that Uddhava and pure devotees of the Lord were always prepared to offer respectful obeisances even to such persons as Duryodhana. Madhyama-adhikaris, however, should not imitate such uttama-adhikārī behavior. In this connection, the distinction between madhyama-adhikārī and uttama-adhikārī is stated by Srila Vishwanatha Chakravarti Thakura as follows. Atra sarva bhuteshu bhagavad darshana yogyata yasya kadachidapi na drishta. A madhyama-adhikārī, one second.
Oh, where you gone?
Where is it, bro?
A madhyama-adhikārī here cannot at any time perceive the presence of the Supreme Lord. After nadrishta, the middle.
A madhyama-adhikārī cannot at any time perceive the presence of the Supreme Lord within all living beings, whereas an uttama-adhikārī, however, he acts on the second-class platform to carry out the Lord's mission, is aware that every living entity is ultimately a forgetful Krishna-conscious living entity. Therefore, although a devotee may externally engage 4 different types of behavior, as mentioned in this verse, namely worship of the Lord, friendship with devotees, preaching to the innocent, and rejection of the demons, he is not necessarily on the second-class platform. Since an uttama-adhikārī also may exhibit these symptoms to carry out the Lord's mission. In this regard, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura mentions that it is the duty of the madhyama-adhikārī to extend himself as the right hand of the uttama-adhikārī, owing to work for the benefit of others and offering to help in distributing love of Krishna. Finally, Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakura has given a nice explanation of the difference between Archana and Bhajana. Archana refers to the platform of sadhana bhakti, in which one serves the Lord to carry out the rules and regulations of the process. One who has achieved the shelter of the Lord's holy name and is totally engaged in the attempt to serve the Lord should be considered to be on the platform of bhajana, even though his external activities may sometimes be less strict than those of the neophyte engaged in archana. This apparent lack of strictness, however, refers to laxity, not in the basic principles of sane behavior and renunciation of sense gratification, but rather in the details of Vaishnava ceremonies.
So you can see the distinction between the madhyama-adhikārī. He draws the line, he knows, he worships the Lord, he is friendly to the devotees, he is compassionately preaching to the innocent, and he is neglecting those people who are envious, So this is the second class platform. So this is actually a very advanced platform, So second class platform, maybe he is, he may not know the scriptures thoroughly. So he is, at least he is understanding more better than the neophyte devotee. The neophyte devotee, as we know, we read, it is highly critical and is very offensive to others, whereas the neophyte is also very materialistically inclined. He is kind of glorifying all people who have got material positions and assets, whereas the madhyama-adhikārī is trying to cut them down, So people who are materialistically, and they try to preach to them to elevate them back to Krishna consciousness. So this platform is explained in the Bhagavad Gita also. The Bhagavad Gita, this is there, those who are preachers, they're very dear to the Lord, Can you
One
read
who
that?
explains the supreme secret to the devotees, pure devotional service is guaranteed, and at the end he will come back to me.
So you see, this is the position of a preacher, you know. The other one is here.
There is no servant in this world more dear to me than he, nor will there ever be one more dear.
See that? So this is the position of the second class person who is preacher, you know.
Yes, Prabhu.
So there is also another verse in the Bhagavad, you know, the Bhagavad Gita, this verse is also there. This verse, Bhagavad Gita.
Anapeksha suchir suchirdaksha udasino gatavyataha sarvaramba parityagi yo me bhakta same priyaha.
So in this verse, you want to read?
A devotee who is not independent on others, but is
Dependent on.
a devotee who is not dependent on others, but is dependent solely on me, who is clean inwardly and outwardly, who is expert, indifferent to material things, without cares, and free from all pains, and who rejects all pious and impious activities, is very dear to me.
So here the word anapeksha means that one should not be concerned with mundane people and should not depend upon them. So one should depend solely on the Supreme Personality of Godhead, free from material desires. One should also be clean within and without. To be outwardly clean, you should regularly bath with soap and oil. And to be inwardly clean, one should always be absorbed in thoughts of Krishna. The word Sarvaramba Parityagi indicate that one should not be interested in so-called smartha vidya of pious and impious activities. So the word here, anapeksha, means that they are neglecting those people who are concerned with mundane stuffs, you know. So this is how a second-class devotee is indifferent, you know. He neglects those people who are materialistically or atheistically inclined or offensive to Krishna. So the madhyama class is also mentioned in the Bhagavad Gita. So now we go to the first class devotee. I don't know, we have time. We'll read through very quickly.
Yeah, Prabhu, in that last verse, what does it mean by pious and impious who rejects? Like, what type of activities?
The smartha vidya is always interested in good work, pious work, and what is impious work, you know. Understand? They want to do everything according to, you know, piety. Let's look at what time, and you know, everything should be done very meticulously according to rules, regulations, and all that. You know?
Okay.
So when you go beyond that, then you are advanced. You know, you understand? It's also explained. This point is also explained in the Bhagavad Gita. In the Bhagavad Gita, it is here. See the word here, Subha, Asubha. Subha, Asubha, Palerevam, is it? So pious and impious thing are here. One is to auspicious and inauspicious results. You see that?
Okay.
Understand?
Yeah, got it, Prabhu. Thank you.
So we're going to the, I don't know, you can spare your time with me. I'll read very quickly the, you know, first class devotee. There's 5 verses and also in the Bhagavad Gita. You want to read
Even
this?
while engaging his senses in contact with their objects, one who sees this whole world as the energy of Lord Vishnu is neither repelled nor elated. He is indeed the greatest among devotees.
So these all are positions of the uttama-adhikārī. I mean, you can read the purport. I don't have time now because,
Yes,
you know, it takes some time for reading all this. So you can take note, you read you can understand the position of first-class devotees.
Within the material world, one's material body is always subject to birth and decay. Similarly, the life air, prana, is harnessed by hunger and thirst. The mind is always anxious. The intelligence hankers for that which cannot be obtained. And all of the senses are ultimately exhausted by constant struggle in the material nature. A person who is not bewildered by the inevitable miseries of material existence and who remains aloof from them simply by remembering the lotus feet of the Supreme Personality of Godhead is to be considered Bhagavata Pradhana, the foremost devotee of the Lord.
So Maya, the person is not bothered about Maya. You understand?
Yes,
He-
Prabhu.
Miseries are always there, but he is aloof, as a first-class devotee. Again, you read the purport, it will be good for you to understand this.
One who has taken exclusive shelter of the Supreme Lord Vasudeva becomes free from fruitive activities which are based on material lust. In fact, one who has taken shelter of the lotus feet of the Lord is freed from even the desire to enjoy material sense gratification. Plans for enjoying sex life, social prestige, and money cannot develop within his mind. Thus, he is considered Bhagavatottama, a pure devotee of the Lord on the highest platform.
So this is the position of a pure devotee, because he's having Krishna in the heart and he's seeing Krishna everywhere. So actually there's no way Maya can touch him. You understand? Even if he goes to Maya, he cannot see Maya there. He only sees Krishna. Therefore, a pure devotee cannot fall down, You follow? Sometimes they think that a pure devotee can also fall down. This is the philosophy propagated by ISKCON, which is completely bogus. Please again read the purport if you got time.
Birth in an aristocratic family and the execution of austere and pious activities certainly cause one to take pride in himself. Similarly, if one enjoys a prestigious position within society because his parents are highly respected members of the Varnashrama social system, one becomes even more infatuated with himself. But if despite these excellent material qualifications, one does not feel even a tinge of pride within himself, he is to be considered the dearmost servitor of the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
So he's also prideless, no? Even though he is highly qualified, he always be humble servant. That's the nature of a very pure devotee. First class. You can read the purport for Acharya's commentaries.
When a devotee gives up the selfish conception by which one thinks this is my property and that is his, and when he is no longer concerned with the pleasures of his own material body or indifferent to the discomforts of others, he becomes fully peaceful and satisfied. He considers himself simply one among all the living beings who are equally part and parcel of the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Such a satisfied Vaishnava is considered to be at the highest standard of devotional service.
So this is the practice of humility, He thinks himself as lowest, He's not think himself as a very great person.
I'll read Mataji.
Yeah.
The lotus feet of the spiritual Supreme Personality of Godhead are sought even by the greatest of the demigods, such as Brahma and Shiva, who have all accepted the Supreme Personality of Godhead as their life and soul. A pure devotee of the Lord can never forget those lotus feet in any circumstance. He will not give up his shelter at the lotus feet of the Lord for a single moment, indeed, not for a half a moment.
even in exchange for the benediction of ruling and enjoying the opulence of the entire universe. Such a devotee of the Lord is to be considered the best of the Vaishnavas.
This is the transcendental position of the devotee, Can read this?
The devotee who has offered his soul to me does not want anything if it is separate from me, not the position of the supreme demigod of the universe Brahma, nor that of Lord Indra, nor kingship over the entire earth or over the lower planetary systems, nor the mystic perfections of the yoga, nor even freedom from the cycle of rebirth.
We can see how a pure devotee is surrendered, no? As we say in the Shastaka prayer, na danam, na janam, na sundarim kavitam. Even he has to take birth again and again, he engage in only serving the Lord, no?
How can the fire of material suffering continue to burn the hearts of those who worship the Supreme Lord? The Lord's lotus feet have performed innumerable heroic deeds, and the beautiful nails on his toes resemble valuable jewels. The effulgence emanating from those nails resembles cooling moonshine, for it instantly relieves the suffering within the heart of the pure devotee, just as the appearance of the moon's cooling light relieves the burning heat of the sun.
So you can see here from this verse, the fire of material suffering cannot burn the heart of a pure devotee, That means he is colors to Maya. Maya cannot touch him, Understand? He is unshakable. This is the verse in the Bhagavad Gita. Yam labdvaja param labha manyate nadikam tata. That is not shaken even in the midst of the greatest difficulty. Again, this is the important point to understand. And of course here, this the
The
last
Supreme
verse here.
the Supreme Personality of Godhead is so kind to the conditioned souls that if they call upon him by speaking his holy name, even unintentionally or unwillingly, the Lord is inclined to destroy innumerable sinful reactions in their hearts. Therefore, when a devotee who has taken shelter of the Lord's lotus feet chants the holy name of Krishna with genuine love, the Lord can never give up the heart of such a devotee. One who has thus bound the Supreme Lord's lotus feet within his heart with the ropes of love is to be known as Bhagavata Pradhana, the most exalted devotee of the Lord.
So this is the position of a pure devotee, and he is, of course, is explained here that is always seeing the Lord, no?
Sri Havi said, the most advanced devotee can see within everything the soul of all souls, the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Sri Krishna. Consequently, he sees systematically everything in relation to the Supreme Lord and understands that everything that exists is eternally situated within the Lord.
This is the position of a Mahabhagavata, He sees God, It's not that somebody, just whimsically taking the title, This is also explained in the Bhagavad Gita, the same thing.
A true yogi observes me in all beings and also sees every being in me. Indeed, a self-realized person sees me, the same Supreme Lord, everywhere.
So this is the position of a pure devotee. He's actually seeing God,
For one who sees me everywhere and sees everything in me, I am never lost, nor is he ever lost to me.
So you see, so if a person is in this kind of a platform, and how he can fall down?
Yes,
Can he
Prabhu.
fall down? Does it make any sense?
No, cannot.
Nonsense philosophy they are preaching, understand? When you go to the fallen guru, it's like breakdown bus, they say. Then you change another bus. I mean, how all this nonsense? Because they're not reading Prabhupada books. That's the problem. Just
Prabhu,
now we read the verse.
they quote one verse in Bhagavad Gita where Krishna says, like, even if such exalted devotees, no, they outwardly seem fallen down, they are not. One must
Okay,
not compare.
we'll go to that. Huh? Can you read this?
Yes, Prabhu. As the chariot of air carries an aroma from its source and immediately catches a sense of smell, similarly, one who constantly engages in devotion service in Krishna consciousness can catch the Supreme Lord, who is equally present everywhere.
This is the position of a pure devotee. Huh? He always sees Krishna everywhere. Understand?
Yes.
So your question, huh? So let's go to that place where they speak about this crazy philosophy. So here it says here, this verse they say even is fallen.
Even if one commits the most abominable action, if he is engaged in devotion service, he is to be considered saintly because he is properly situated in his determination.
I quote all these verses, guys. But can you read this part?
Devotion service is more or less a declaration of war against
Can you read
illusion.
from here? Yes. Can you read from here?
Yes,
Yeah.
Prabhu. Devotion service is more or less a declaration of war against illusory energy. As long as one is not strong enough to fight the illusory energy, there may be accidental fall downs. But when one is strong enough, he is no longer subjected to such fall downs, as previously explained. No one should take advantage of this verse and commit nonsense and think that he is still a devotee. If he does not improve in his character by devotion service, then it is to be understood that he is not a high devotee.
Yes.
Yes, Prabhu.
If you are in the high Mahabhagavata platform and you fall down, that's nonsense. Correct?
Yeah, he's no longer subjugated to such fall downs. Yes.
Correct. You understand? First class and second class cannot fall down, Prabhupada said. You know? I mean, these guys are cheating. Nonsense. That's all it is. You can cheat, for how long? Huh?
The third class person in Krishna consciousness may fall down, but when one is in the second class, he does not fall down. And for the first class person in Krishna consciousness, there is no chance of falling down.
It's clear?
Very clear, Prabhu, crystal clear. I'll make note down of these verses. 9.3. Okay.
You understand? So therefore, we have to be very, thorough in our understanding of Krishna consciousness. Then we will be secure in making advancement. Another important point is that we should not try to imitate the first-class devotee. And yes, we are not. Oh, Prabhu, I see everybody equal. I don't see, Ritwiks, and I don't see, ISKCON, and I go everywhere. And such a kind of person is talking like that, he's definitely will fall down very quickly. Because he thinks he himself very advanced, to see everything equal. You follow?
Yes, Prabhu.
Understand? He has to learn how to distinguish, who is in the right path and who is not in the right path, If he simply blindly does anything, then he will fall down.
Yes, Prabhu.
I've shown this many times.
Yes, Prabhu. Friendship should be cemented between persons with mutual interest and understanding. Such persons are said to be swajati, of the same caste. The devotee should avoid a person whose character is not fixed in the standard understanding. Even though he may be a Vaishnava or a devotee of Krishna, if his character is not correctly representative, then he should be avoided. One should steadily control the senses and the mind and strictly follow the rules and regulations, and he should make friendship with persons of the same standard.
It's clear?
Yes, Prabhu.
Not
Clear.
that you try to act like a pure devotee, you know. Actually, that's the position of the pure monkey. See no evil, speak no evil, you know.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yeah. So, okay, I have explained pretty much everything in correlation with the Bhagavad Gita also, so that you understand how even in the Gita, Krishna speaks about the pure devotee, you know. Not that he doesn't speak about the pure devotee. There is a few verses about the pure devotees.
One who is not envious but is a kind friend to all living entities, who does not think himself a proprietor and is free from false ego, who is equal in both happiness and distress, who is tolerant, always satisfied, self-control, and engaged in devotional service with determination, his mind and intelligence fixed on me, such a devotee of mine is very dear to me.
So this again the qualification of a pure devotee.
Yes, Prabhu. Any other devotee would like to read?
He by whom no one is put into difficulty, and who is not disturbed by anyone, who is equipoised in happiness and distress, fear and anxiety, is very dear to me.
Another qualification of a pure devotee.
By my devotee who is not dependent.
This is second class platform, and a picture. This one.
One who neither rejoices nor grieves, who neither laments nor desires, and who renounces both auspicious and inauspicious things, such a devotee is very dear to me.
Again, the same point, no?
Yes. One who is equal to friends and enemies, who is equipoised in honor and dishonor, heat and cold, happiness and distress, fame and infamy, who is always free from contaminating association, always silent and satisfied with anything, who does not care for any residence, who is fixed in knowledge and who is engaged in devotional service, such a person is very dear to me.
Again, there's the position of the first class devotee.
Those who follow this imperishable path of devotional service and who completely engage themselves with faith, making me the supreme goal, are very, very dear to me.
Again, the position of the first class devotee. So, okay, I guess I have explained at length. Maybe there's some more points I missed out, but this much I understand. I hope you will appreciate the presentation.
Definitely. Yes,
Yes,
Prabhu.
Prabhu.
Definitely. Very helpful.
Yes, Prabhu.
Is Kali also considered a part and parcel of Krishna? Yes. Huh? Why not? There's a verse here that explains that. Can you read this?
Whoever comes before you, even if he is a demigod, is created by you, O Supreme Personality of Godhead.
Yes. So Kali cannot be outside this, can he?
Yes, Prabhu.
You understand? Who asked that question?
Nikhilesh.
It's me, Prabhu.
Oh. So is it clear?
Yes, Prabhu, it is clear.
Nothing can be outside the purview of the Lord, no?
Okay.
Everything is under the creation of the Lord.
Got it, Prabhu. Thank you.
think it's this one. These are the 4 important verses of the Bhagavatam.
Brahma, it is I, the personality of Godhead, who was existing before the creation, when there was nothing but myself, nor was there the material nature, the cause of this creation. That which you see now is also I, the personality of Godhead, and after annihilation, what remains will also be I, the personality of Godhead.
So how can Kali be not part of this? Yes?
Yes,
Yes.
Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
Nothing, anything that is outside the Lord is actually an illusion, you know.
Mm.
You follow?
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes, Prabhu.
O Brahma, whatever appears to be of any value, if it is without relation to me, has no reality. Know it as my illusory energy, that reflection which appears to be in darkness. That reflection which appears to be in darkness.
You understand?
Mm-hmm.
Everything is under the purview of the Lord, you know. Nothing can exist outside. If it does so, then it is of no value, illusion. So these are the 4 verses, this is the third one. Everything is explained, you know.
O Brahma, please know that the universal elements enter into the cosmos and at the same time do not enter into the cosmos. Similarly, I myself also exist within everything created, and at the same time, I am outside of everything.
So you see that? How can anything be, you know, not part of the Lord? Correct?
Yes, Prabhu.
A person who is searching after the supreme absolute truth, the personality of Godhead, must certainly search for it up to this, in all circumstances, in all space and time, and both directly and indirectly.
So these are the 4 verses of the Bhagavatam that is spoken to Lord Brahma, which very important. So everything is contained within the Lord, you know. So Kali is also part of the, it's Kali comes in, you know, it's like a time, you know. Yes. You have got Satya Yuga, Treta Yuga, Dwapara Yuga, and Kali Yuga. So the personality Satya Yuga, personality Treta Yuga, personality, what's that? Kali, Dwapara,
Dwapara.
Kali, all are personalities, you know. So Kali is a personality that he appeared, correct? Is raw, you know the Bhagavatam, that he went to cut the leg of the cows, right? And the bull, you know, right?
Yes,
Isn't it?
Prabhu. Yeah.
So that is there in the Bhagavatam, that Kali was trying to harm the punishment and reward of Kali, correct? He started appealing to so-class Sudra dress. The king was beating the cow and bull with a club, you know. So this is a Kali, you know. Yes?
Yes.
Yes, Prabhu.
Yes.
So how can he have no personality? Yes? Everything
Yes,
is a
Prabhu.
person, you know. That's the difference between us and the Mayavadis. The Mayavadis, they interpret everything as impersonal. Whereas we understand everything based on Sadhu, Shastra, Guru, no?
Yes.
Any other questions? Getting late for all of you, huh? Very sorry to keep you so busy.
Oh, Prabhu, it's our great pleasure.
Yes, Prabhu. Thank you for staying.
To receive your association.
The mantra, huh? No, we did not go to 6. We only did 5. So many points to explain, huh? And they say Bhagavatam is boring. Huh?